Now, I've read this, at least the comic before. I just barely remember anything from it because it's been such a long time since I read the comic that I don't remember anything. I barely remember some stuff, but that's it. Now, I remember how the main character in Melody produces their child. The main character, on a mission, realizes he's going into heat, his very first heat. He finds a warehouse to hide into, and Melody finds him. And they produced their child that time. After that mission, the main character went into hiding, especially since he gave birth to a child. He handed his child over to his mother, who he hadn't seen for more than a decade. Thanks to his father and stepfather, they kept him from seeing his mother. And I'm pretty sure he's on the run from his stepfather. Now, I don't think his father was really at fault for him being not around his mother as much, but I know typically it was probably his stepfather. I remember that it was his stepfather, and I think he's on the run from his stepfather, though I'm not so sure if he's on the run from his stepfather or not. But I know his stepfather is one of the big bads of the story. I just don't remember. But yes, the main character's in hiding. He's on the run. He keeps his mother and his son close, but he also keeps them far enough that he can keep an eye on them, but no one can put the connections to them. Like every time he moves them with him. He does visit them, but he makes it not a daily thing. And most of the time he just stays outside and watches them. The main character owns a flower shop, and that's when he re-meets the male lead, and the male lead doesn't recognize the main character, and the main character recognizes who the male lead is, but I guess he doesn't know that the male lead is his baby daddy, or he does and he refuses to acknowledge that fact. That he refuses to acknowledge the male lead is his baby daddy, because later down the line, the male lead will explain why he doesn't like Omegas, because the last time he slept with Omega, they tied him up and broke his arm. And he's searching for that Omega, but he doesn't recognize who that Omega is. And that Omega is obviously the main character who's pretending to be in Beta. And since he doesn't recognize the main character as the Omega, he just assumes the main character looks like the Omega. He doesn't put two together. But I'm questioning how the main character doesn't recognize the male lead. Was it because his heat influence, he doesn't recognize the male lead? Is that why? That's why he doesn't know that the male lead is his baby daddy? But the way he acts, he does know that the male lead, because I remember him knowing the male lead was his baby daddy, but I could have probably remembered it wrong. But I am confused. Does he not know? Does he know? Someone please tell me. So after meeting the main character once more, like I said, he doesn't recognize the main character as the Omega who, broke his arm and left him tied up somewhere. He is excited by the main character and becomes obsessed with the main character. He does point a gun at the main character to question why the main character knows who he is, and the main character's like, well, your face is all over the newspapers. That is why I know who you are. And the male lead's like, okay, I'll take that. And he repeatedly shows up at the main character's store buying stuff, and he even buys a potted plant for the main character because the main character prefers potted plants over bouquets, and he bought one for the main character from the main character's own store and gifted it to the main character. Yeah, he is obsessed. And when he sees the main character writing letters to his son, he assumes the letters is for a lover. So he tells his men to kidnap this person, only to find out that this person is the main character's child. If I had been in the male lead's shoe and I saw my literal clone because their son looks like the male lead's clone, I'd be like, why did you bring my clone? Did you guys clone me? Or did I father a child and I never know about it, and now here this child is? I told you to go get the main character's lover, not bring me a child. What do you mean this is the person who you were told to get? Wait, does this mean the main character's been taking care of my child this entire time? But how and why? Because this kid looks exactly like me, but the male lead, he doesn't see it. His men, they all see it. They see the similarities between them, but not the male lead. The male lead doesn't notice it, but I would have. I've been like, why is this clone here? This is freakishly too much looking like me. I guess I'm a father now. The main character, he goes full on feral. Like any Papa Bear, he goes feral and he breaks in there to get to his child. And the male lead, he puts the whole blame on his men. He's like, oh, my men went and kidnapped your child and I didn't know about it until it was too late. And has to satisfy and calm down the main character. He also makes a deal with the main character that he will give the main character his mother and his son protection. And the main character's like, well, what do you get out of it? And the main lead's like, I don't care. I don't get anything out of it. And the main character's like, okay, we'll sleep together. We'll do the devil's tango once a week as payment for you to take care of me and my family. And the male lead's like, okay, yeah, I like this. Because again, the male lead is obsessed with the main character. He wants the main character. The moment he saw the main character, he wanted the main character. So this benefits him. He's getting what he wants out of this. Yes, the main character hates the Omega who, he slept with, and then that person tied him up and broke his arm. He hates them, but he's obsessed with that Mega. Like, he looks for people who looks like that Mega, and he will sleep with them. Then after sleeping with them one time, he throws them away like dirt. But with the main character, he's utterly obsessed with the main character. He wants the main character in his life. He wants the main character by his side. Like, after they sleep around with each other the first time around, he thought maybe this will stop his delusion and obsession with the main character. No, he's more obsessed with the main character after they do the devil's tango the first time around. Like, he is utterly obsessed. Like, he's constantly trying to get the main character in his bed. He's constantly trying to seduce the main character. He's coming up with ways to get the main character to kiss him and hug him. Like, this dude is very clingy. And before they had made their little deal thing, which they end up signing a contract, like the male lead drags the main character who cannot deal being out in the sea onto a yacht to get the main character to sign a contract with him. Before they had did this whole thing, the male lead's right-hand man had told the main character to run for it, to get out of there, because he's seen what the male lead has done to people who look exactly like the main character, and he wanted the main character to run for his own safety. But except the main character did not take that advice and decided to stay. And now he's in this deal and contract with the male lead. The male lead and the main character, they went to their son's birthday party, and the male lead got his son a horse. And he's made sure that there's a stable and that the horse will be provided for and taken care of, because he knows the main character cannot financially afford this. And the main character's wary about the financial state, and he doesn't want the male lead to be so giving that he's like, okay, what do you want on it? Because if we're going to keep this horse and you're going to do everything to provide for this horse, I have to give you something for it. And the male lead's like, kisses? Kisses? And like, he's like, kisses? And I'm like, oh, this dude is kind of adorable. But yeah, he's like, I give our son a horse, you give me kisses? Kisses? I feel bad for the male lead's men in this little arc because one is punished. He has his shin broken and threatened to be put with the fishes because the main characters and the male lead's son trips over grass. Yeah. And then the second one, who has had a weapon on him for years, and it's a legal weapon, but he's had it for years, and he works for the mafia, and his boss sells weapons. So he didn't think it was such a big deal. No one talked to him about it for years, until the main character noticed the weapon on him, tackled him, physically tackled him, took it from him, which, shocks him. And when the male lead walks into the scene, instead of standing up for his man to the main character and telling the main character it's perfectly fine for him to have this weapon, no, he turns against his own man, puts this man on probation, and tells him never to bring this weapon around him or his family again and keep this weapon far away, or he'll be sleeping with the fishes. And the male lead purposely harms himself to show anyone could get hurt with this weapon. And I'm like, you're kind of a terrible boss. But again, he's part of the mafia, so it makes sense that he'd be a terrible boss. And I can't believe the main character is just watching this dude threaten his employees and not do anything about it.